Adrianna, you look lovely, and thank you for joining us in the studio today.
Thanks so much for having me, Faith.
It's a complete pleasure. I'd love to start with Boston Pride for the People. How did it get started, and what set you all in motion?
So Boston Pride for the People started last September 2022, and it was after a year and a half and more of a lot of us coming together and thinking about what are we going to do for Pride in our city. First, it was a number of different groups and coalitions in our community, such as Pride for the People, which is separate from Boston Pride for the People. Pride for the People were a group of leaders, organizers, and other folks in our community who came together to hold the previous organizers of the Pride in Boston accountable to the communities that they weren't including, the voices that they weren't centering. And when different leaders in the community noticed that what was being called for people weren't taking responsibility for that work and taking the recommendations that were made, that organization dissolved, and many different leaders came up and created efforts. And throughout the year, there were efforts like Pop-Up Pride that was organized by a few members of Pride for the People and members of now Boston Pride for the People. So our start after Pop-Up Pride, I remember fondly going to the group, and I participated as a speaker in there, and I said, it was so amazing what we did, and I want to get together. Like, let's all get together and move forward planning for next year. So at the end of the summer, we came together in September, officially started Boston Pride for the People, and have been meeting weekly and then daily since then to really work on, as volunteers, 100% volunteer-led, this work that we're moving forward together.
That's incredible, and we're so glad that you're here. And what are some of the core values of Boston Pride for the People?
We have 4 principles. The first is commemoration, and it's to honor the lives of those lost and risked for a lot of the freedoms that we experience now as members of the LGBTQ plus communities. So we want to honor the work and everything that was sacrificed for us to be able to have parades and festival like we do today. The second is educate. We do have freedoms that people lost their lives for and risked their lives for us to live today. And there is so much more that needs to be fought for. Our trans and gender diverse community are under attack. Our youth are under attack. People are trying to seek gender affirming care. People are trying to be their human selves. There is a lot of work to be done in our community and other communities. And the first way to make that change is to be aware that the change needs to be done. So in addition to commemorating the work that's been done, we also want to educate people on the work that still needs to be done. And for the work to be done, the third value, empower. People need to feel empowered. They need to be put in positions where they can make change. They need to be given the resources and tools to make those changes. They need to be believed in, truly believed in. And the fourth is celebration, because we're worthy of celebration, and it's important that people in our community know that, see that, and have the spaces to do that. And those values are really at the foundation of the work that we do with our 2 aims. One is to plan the city's parade and festival, and 2 is to uplift the work happening throughout our city this month and the rest of the year. Because there's so many groups, organizations, and leaders doing work, we don't need to recreate the wheel. We need to support the wheels that are already in motion.
Speaking of celebration, on June 10th, you threw the parade, the Boston Pride for the People Parade and Festival. What were some of your favorite memories from the day?
Seeing everyone's joy. This morning I was on social media and I saw someone post that it was their first Pride. It was a young person and it was a bunch of young people, and I just could not. It was so lovely. It was so, so lovely. So what has been my favorite part is seeing the joy, seeing everyone interact with Pride. I think there's a lot of different ways to interact with Pride and Pride activities and festivities, and seeing people do that in their own way has been so beautiful.
Absolutely, and more than just the celebration and the parades, there's the work that's happening at the organization. Can you tell us more about what is currently being done there?
So we are receiving feedback and assessing how it went so that we can plan for the future, how we can continue to live our mission and our values in action. So we have a debrief that's coming up where our committee members as well as our organizing committee members will be able to come together and understand how we did and what we hope to achieve in the future. We also have a community survey that we're sent that is active right now, and we'll have a campaign going through the summer inviting people to share their insights and hopes for what Pride is for them, what issues are important for them, what their access needs are at an event like Pride, what may have been missing, and what more they'd like to share with us. So we're really spending this time assessing how we've done and building the foundation for us to continue to grow as an organization and as Pride in Boston.
Why is it important that Boston celebrate Pride?
I'm thinking of an article that I read earlier where it named out all the political support that we received. There was Mayor Michelle Wu, who has been there from the start with us for months, working with us, asking us what support we needed, being there to support us in other areas. We have Governor Maura Healey was there. We had Senator Ed Markey. We had Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley. The individuals in our state and in our nation that are supporting and advocating for policy change and supporting our work, that activity, different states, different cities don't have that access. They don't have that support. They don't have that visibility. And so why Pride in Boston is so important is because in a time in our world where it's not always comfortable to be yourself.
That Pride means to BIPOC queer people specifically.
It goes even deeper in my opinion, and I want to leave space for everyone having their own definition here. So I'm sharing what my vision and my definition is, and I do believe there's possibility for all of our definitions to exist in our experience here. So why I think Pride is really, really important for queer, trans, BIPOC folks, me being one of them, is there's so much that as folks with our identities are holding on, so much oppression and marginalization that we experience. And Pride, in my opinion, is a tool as well as a space where people can be themselves, feel seen, and get access to different things. And our BIPOC community needs that. And different areas in our world and our state where that can happen is so important.
And how would you like Boston Pride for the People to ultimately impact the city?
I would love for Boston Pride for the People to continue to be a space where joy can be generated. It felt like on Sunday that we as a community, we as a city, experienced something that we haven't experienced in a while. And in my opinion, the joy that was felt, the community that was felt, the camaraderie, the diverse connection that was felt, I haven't felt that in Boston in a while. And I'm trying to think back to what moment I can think of, and I can't think of one. That was so important to be had there, and something that I'd like to see continue.
And for our viewers who want to support Boston Pride for the People and get involved, how can they do so?
I encourage them to visit bostonprideforthepeople.org. There's so many ways that people can get involved.
Lots of work, needing many hands.
Yeah.
Adrianna Boulin, President of Boston Pride for the People, thank you once again for being here and shedding some light on the organization.
Thank you for inviting me. Happy to be here.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.